I felt like prideful, which is not always great, but I was prideful about we give exceptional experiences here. I know we're better than the salons next to us or down the road. Why aren't these new clients coming back again? And I started really studying psychology and understanding that clients go through confirmation bias. So if they hear that a stylist is a level 1 or a junior or anything tied to a title that may make them feel a little insecure, then they're already coming into their first visit not really sold on that individual. And of course, we know that stylists feel this tremendous anxiety about meeting a new client. So everybody feels like they're on this blind date.
Yeah.
So I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way to predict a positive outcome for a first-time guest before they even come in for the first time. So I started wondering, is there a way that I could get on every single phone call and determine the personality profile of every single guest that calls? No, that's impossible. Nobody could do that. But
it's not scalable. Okay. It's not advisable.
Right. So I'm like, well, I know for sure that regardless of where a client hears about your salon, whether it be your social media, word of mouth, Google, they're still going to go to your website before they make an appointment. So I knew that if I could get a hold of them there on the website, I could ask them some questions, determine who they are, what do they value, what are their love languages, lifestyle, and then what are the services they're looking to get done. And based on that, I could present to them their top 3 stylist matches that are the best fit for them based on all these unique criteria.
Welcome to Brazen and Bold. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the beauty industry in marketing. She is the brains behind MYA, a salon stylist matching software, as well as the heart of Beyond the Technique podcast. Not to mention someone that I've had the privilege of getting to know and someone that I actually love to call my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Kati Whitledge.
Well, hello. And I love to call you my friend as well. Thank you for having me, Heather.
Of course. I got to meet Kati at an industry event. Actually, it was my very first data-driven, and my friend wasn't going to be able to use her dinner tickets. And so she said, do you want to take my dinner to the top 200? And I said, sure. I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of strangers, and the stranger to my left happened to be Kati. And anybody who knows Kati knows that you won't be a stranger for long. She was so warm and friendly. And little did I know she was also famous, and she was one of the keynote presenters. So I was like, oh, I sat next to that girl. It was really fun just to see her on stage, see her dazzle. And she's a renowned speaker as well, sought after in the industry, helping people understand things like the topic we will be discussing today. I think she's got a lot of expertise in this area, and she's going to be the perfect person to help our audience understand the importance of creating connection in the digital world. Tell us a little bit about how this became a passion of yours and how you've been able to make this a focus in the work that you do with salons across the country.
Well, thanks for asking that. It became a passion because as a salon owner, I opened my first salon in 2010 and we grew very quickly. All of my marketing strategies have all been value-based marketing, which really means we just never were willing to give away discounts to get new clients in the door. So I was working hard to curate clients that valued what we did, that saw our worth and appreciated an elevated experience. However, our new client retention rate was not great. And I didn't want to settle for that because I felt like prideful, which is not always great, but I was super prideful about we give exceptional experiences here. I know we're better than the salons next to us or down the road. Why aren't these new clients coming back again? And I started really studying psychology and understanding that clients go through confirmation bias. So if they hear that a stylist is a level 1 or a junior or anything tied to a title that may make them feel a little insecure, then they're already coming into their first visit not really sold on that individual. And of course, we know that stylists feel this tremendous anxiety about meeting a new client. So everybody feels like they're on this blind date. So I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way to predict a positive outcome for a first-time guest before they even come in for the first time. So I started wondering, is there a way that I could get on every single phone call and determine the personality profile of every single guest that calls? No, that's impossible. Nobody could do that. But
it's not scalable. Okay. It's not advisable.
Right. So I'm like, well, I know for sure that regardless of where a client hears about your salon, whether it be your social media, word of mouth, Google, they're still going to go to your website before they make an appointment. So I knew that if I could get a hold of them there on the website, I could ask them some questions, determine who they are, what do they value, what are their love languages, lifestyle, and then what are the services they're looking to get done. And based on that, I could present to them their top 3 stylist matches that are the best fit for them based on all these unique criteria. It's really like eHarmony for our salon. So that's how I originally deployed this kind of digital way of building a human connection. And our new client retention increased by 86% that first full year. So I knew that we were onto something and that this is a way to help. And what that is, by the way, for everybody who really gets into marketing, that is a technique called priming and conditioning. Now, this happens to us, maybe for us, depending on how you look at it, all the time from every major brand. And so I really wanted to bring this strategy to our industry.
All right. I think that's obviously brilliant. We had, imagine many people are familiar with online dating, whether or not they've ever done it. We know what the concept is like. So the difference between sorting through maybe photos, which is what we get to go on a website and look at stylists and options and salons everywhere, and trying to sort out who would be the best fit and why versus, are you someone who's into a quiet appointment? Talk to me about like some of those questions that you developed or how that flow might go. But thinking about all the different personality types and guests, what they're looking for. I'll tell you right now, and this isn't something I think is great. It's just how I operate. The sooner, the quicker. Okay. For my appointments, I'm not looking for the longest, most indulgent, most pampered experience. I'm thinking, is there a way that you can do my nails, my hair? Can I get my dentist in there at the same time? If I have to sit still for 2 hours, can we just be done with it? That's my goal.
Well, because you are efficient as F, right? This is Spark Global. Yes. Well, let me just share what's not working, because the average new client retention rate nationwide is 32%, which is pretty embarrassing. Now, if the average salon spends 3% on their marketing every year, even a $500,000 salon is spending a significant amount of money, 15 grand a year, to try to get new clients in the door. But if they're not coming back, that is a major loss financially. So we have to solve this and get a better return on our marketing investment. So here's what's not working. When clients call and you're just having the front desk people, who, by the way, also have confirmation bias. What does that mean? That means I got my people at the salon that I just naturally refer to because they're my people. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a front desk girl or guy or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you want a bob haircut? Here's my favorite person for that. That's the way their mind is going to work, and they're going to help that guest in that way. That's number one. We have that bias. Number two, the bias of looking at photos on a website. I'm naturally geared toward who I think looks good to work with. We all have that attraction visually. That's not solving our new client retention rate problem. And neither is the availability issue. So your top people are probably busier than your level ones, right? Well, do your level ones retain the same percentage of new clients as your top performing? Well, the answer is no. We all know that. Right. So all of these normal ways of booking new guests, which is based on availability, looks, or who I like best, that is not working for us. So there has to be a better way. I wanted to give this tool to every owner so that they had the better way and see that new client retention skyrocket. Because here's the thing. If you can retain just an additional 5% of existing guests, that can increase your profit margin anywhere between 25 to 95%. That is massive. So if we look at the pain, when we look at the financial loss of marketing versus the reward of what could happen if we actually retain these new clients, there is no contest. The gains far outweigh the losses if you have a really good strategy in place, and our software is that strategy.
I've seen this myself in our salon space, Tantrum, which is the salon I own, where I have a beautiful team with 12 chairs. We started using MYA. I actually don't know exactly how long ago it was, maybe 7 months ago. And we are absolutely seeing such helpful feedback and just realizing, even one of the things a lot of our newer stylists who are trying to build, they're throwing spaghetti against a wall about when they want to work or what hours work for them. And right now in an employee-based model and a team-based model, we are working with a maximum need for flexibility with newer stylists, but being able to take the data from our MYA intake, from using that software, we're able to tell them, hey, we have a massive amount of our personal clientele who are filling out this information, letting us know they really value an evening or weekend appointment. So this is just, if you want to build clientele, this is what all of them are telling us. If you had a weekend or evening appointment available, this would increase your likelihood of getting that guest in your chair. Just little things like that are actually really helpful too for team leadership. You did mention some numbers. So you said you didn't say the percentage. If you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear it. That you had an abysmally low retention rate at the beginning with your salon. And when you were starting to, I don't know if it wasn't called MYA yet, but when you began this idea, right? So what was your retention rate then? And what did you convert to in that 80 something percent increase over that year?
Well, that is a great question that I don't have an answer to in front of me right now. I know we increased it by 86%, but it's almost 15 years ago now. But let me just share this if I might. We work with Anne Marie Kranich, who is the owner of Atala Salon right outside Salt Lake City in Utah. And she sent me this. She said, Katie, we've received 514 leads in the last 90 days. Her ROI in 3 months is $18,000. And MYA has helped their retention percentage go from 35% to 64% year over year. So I did have that right in front of me at this very moment. I don't want to share anything unless it's perfectly accurate. So this is what I'm perfectly sharing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie has an incredible space, and she owns 3 different salons, which are absolutely beautiful. I've had the privilege to teach in those spaces, and she is exceptional, running a really beautiful business. That percentage increase, I love tangible, I love numbers, and I love data. That's so helpful. Even knowing that, let's just say your retention rate before is 15% or 20%, you know that you nearly doubled it within that first year. When you started using this technique to have this intake form or questionnaire, did it just start as something you hosted on your own website? And how long was it until you started, you knew that it was something with traction? How long until you began to develop it? What was the inspiration behind promoting this on a broader scale?
Yeah, so the real interesting little find when I first launched this, which was for my own salon website, was that not just the new client retention, but actually getting more clients in the door. So here's what happens. If you imagine a client searching for a new hairstylist or a new hair salon, you're not the only salon they're looking at. Surprise. So just like I had pride about our experiences once people came inside of the salon, I also knew, like, from the outsider looking in, why wouldn't we be the obvious choice? Well, there's a lot of really sexy brands and businesses near you. And I live in a suburb of a city where it's about 15,000 people. And I know within 3 miles of me, there's at least 30 stylists to choose from. It's just everywhere. We all know this. So what I thought was really profound is the first year that we launched the first iteration of MYA for my own business, we had a 70% conversion rate. What does that mean? For every 10 people that took our matchmaking survey, 7 out of 10 came in to do business with us. Now that's kind of leveled out, and now we average 40%, which, by the way, for anybody that gets into data and stats, to put that into context, if you were going to do Google ads, and which we know is thousands of dollars, if you were going to do Instagram and Facebook ad, I'm not saying these are bad things to do. These are great things to do, but your normal ROI is going to be anywhere from 3 to 7% conversion. So to have a 40% conversion compared to 3 to 7% is already massive. So now we really say, like, look, we're going to get you higher spending clients because they're already primed and conditioned, sold on the stylist before they come in. So they're going to spend more. And you're going to get more clients in. You're going to be that sticky engagement tool on your website that helps you stop people from going and looking at other salons and actually come in to do business with your salon. And 40% is massive return on investment, higher spending clients at a lower acquisition cost, because MYA costs under $300 a month for a monthly subscription. So you are getting a massive return. Anybody that tracks like you do, and your company, Spark VA, who works with MYA salons, anybody who's tracking that ROI for salons, it is the most impactful way to spend marketing dollars that you can deploy for your business. So I'm really proud of that. Now, this is going and going and going. Could I have just said, oh, I want to launch this for salons everywhere right off the bat? The answer is no. Like, you have to prepare yourself for new opportunities. And what did I need to do to be in a position to even think about having another business that was going to go all across the US, which now, by the way, we're international. But back then, to go across the US, that takes a big commitment. What's going to be my strategy? To even be ready to do that, I had to get the salon in a position where it could function and thrive without me being in it all the time. So the number one best decision I ever made is I hired a business coach. Now, back then, this is 2011. I didn't know that there were awesome companies out there like Summit Salon Business Coaching, Strategies, HPSA, Community, like all of them, right? I didn't know that those existed. So the company that I saw at a local business networking group was called Action Coach. They're also international, and these are top executives that typically get hired by CPA firms and estate planning firms and things like that. And here I am as a salon owner. This is 2011, by the way. Think about it. He goes, if you want to work with me, it's $2,000 per month. We're going to meet 1 hour per week, and I'm going to help you with your cash flow forecasting. So what I was very good at was marketing. What I was not very good at was cash flow forecasting. I didn't even know what that word, like that phrase, meant when I first heard it. But I knew that this guy knew what I didn't know. And I needed to invest in myself as an entrepreneur and work with him. And I wasn't even an entrepreneur then. I was like a small business owner, just trying to make ends meet and still behind the chair doing all the things because I didn't know what I didn't know. But really, that would be my big for everybody listening is get yourself that person who can help you level up whichever area that you want for your life. Any area I've ever leveled up has been because I've hired coaches.
I think what you just said about not knowing what you didn't know. The one thing you knew is that you didn't know what you didn't know. All right. So we're not trying to make this into a riddle, but knowing that there's so much you don't know is the gateway to learning what you need to know and finding somebody. I think it's actually brilliant that you found someone outside of the industry just by chance because of your networking group, because that unlocked answers that were found outside of the industry, which is something I think about often. And that's really impactful to find someone with different skills, different areas of expertise that have something beyond what you do. And the really cool thing to take into account is we each have superpowers and our unique, I mean, we've got our vantage point, we have our own area of brilliance that we bring something to the table. And rather than getting every book you could get your hands on about, what was it? Forecasting, about
Cash flow forecasting.
Cash flow, as like financial projections, basically.
Yeah.
You had somebody help you. I want to talk about, so you've got this coach that you started using, and this was probably before it made any sense, even on paper, for you to go for this. That's a huge leap in an investment in yourself. I love that you're encouraging our listeners to find those resources outside of themselves. I think that's so impactful, and it's going with a beginner's mind, which I really, really appreciate. Tell me a little bit about how you see something like this matching software that you've developed. How is that building a connection? How is that building trust or rapport before the guest even gets in the chair? You talked about being like that sticky marketing tactic that gets somebody in. I mean, your conversion rate being 40% right now is what you're holding in your salon space is massive if you think about that cost per acquisition or acquisition cost. So talk to me about how you're building that traction and building that trust, which is something that's very hard to do with so much digital noise. How are you doing that now with MYA?
Yeah, well, there is no secret to this. The buying process for consumers is I have to know that you exist. I got to like you and feel like your business brand reflects who I believe I am as a personal brand. Once I know and like you, I got to trust you. I won't buy from you until I feel like I can trust you. So that's where MYA matchmaking technology comes in, is because we expedite that no trust process very quickly, and we do it before they sit in your chair. Now, if we preemptively do that, once you're in your chair, you're not thinking these thoughts as a consumer of like, oh my gosh, can I trust you? Or are you going to listen to me? I'm already I believe you're my perfect match. This is great. I'm excited. Now we're thinking differently about what's next. It's a totally different frame of mind. On the flip side, if somebody doesn't go through their funnel, I have stylists who have given me testimonials saying, I wish every client that I saw had to first go through the matchmaker to see if we're a good fit, because when somebody isn't, I can tell we weren't matched. I can tell this is not a good vibe. It's not even that there's like anything bad about the vibe. It's just that the vibe is off. You can sense that when you meet somebody and you just don't click with them.
Mhm.
So this is so important. Every salon needs this to equip their styles. Here's what the really cool thing is. Not only do we match the consumer with their perfect provider at your salon, but if you work with certain salon point of sales like Forest, Zenoti, we're going to actually push all of their survey results, including any photos they've uploaded, right into that software for you. So that when the stylist actually sees that new client, they are equipped to know everything the client said, including like, gosh, I'm really struggling with frizz and dry hair. Great. How is that going to help me with my consult, with my add-ons, the treatments I'm going to recommend, and the products that I use on you today that I would like you to take home with you? So this is all about empowering our stylists and helping them. If you provide this, this is an exceptional way to set yourself up from other salons that are not providing this to help them build their dream clientele.
I really love the emphasis on how this is going to empower the stylist. As a business owner, it tracks. The numbers make sense. And when we talk about how we can support our team in a team-based structure, especially if we're trying to help a newer stylist to the area or somebody who's newer out of school to really build their dream clientele, you can probably also see a decrease in turnover and an increase in retention for your team by providing these kind of skills and support. Because if I'm on, we're going to go, because this is you've made a dating app for stylists. Okay. So if I'm on a dating app and I've gone on 10 bad dates where I'm like, this is not what I expected, I'm going to be less likely to want to keep getting on that, to go out on that grind, to meet people. I'm good. It's going to be me and my dog. We're hiking alone for the rest of our lives. Thank you. Okay. If you have a few positive experiences, you feel empowered. And when you've got a newer stylist to your team and they're starting to see that you're bringing in these kind of matches and connections, it's going to really help them feel like, all right, I'm successful. You're setting people up for success in a different way, in addition to their skill, in addition to them giving an excellent consultation. What are you seeing? Because we've got different ways that they can fill out the survey, which is helpful. But what are some small tweaks that you would suggest salon owners and stylists do as it pertains to their bio or their website to build that connection and that community more quickly online?
Well, that's a great question. And I really feel strongly that it depends on where you're at in your industry journey. Because if you're just starting out, I don't want you to put yourself in a box of, I only want to do this for the rest of my career, because you just never know that special technique or that aha moment that you might have that opens up the door of possibilities for you. For example, maybe you're like, I'll never do hair extensions. Well, we know that if you maybe sometimes try it, it's hard to learn it, but once you have mastered it, your financial potential is huge. So my point being, when you're first starting out, I think it's really important to be a generalist. However, when you have a bio for somebody that's first starting out, what sets you apart is going to be maybe your communication style or your style in general. What makes you unique from everybody else, even just what makes you unique in general. Once you are a little further along by year 2 and 3, the riches are in the niches. So you're really starting to hone in on what sets you apart, not just as a person, but your technical capabilities. If you could do these 2 services every day, what would they be? And I would speak to that big time in your bio. But what's really neat is when any salon joins MYA, our team will onboard your entire system for you. So you actually don't have to do anything, and we will help write those bios for you. And we use your Instagram, your existing website bios, if you have them, and kind of tweak them in a way to help you stand out and be the obvious choice when somebody is matched with you.
Right. This is what's coming to mind, if I may.
Yes.
Hope that most people in the space, let's just assume that everybody can do amazing extensions in your salon space. Or let's just assume that everybody does a gorgeous bob, long layered haircut, whatever thing. Great. You're all excellent at that. that doesn't give me a lot of relatability. There's no connection point. It's almost like looking for a doctor online. You're all board certified. You're all medical professionals. But what is your bedside manner like? What is your practice experience? Are you more of a holistic approach? Are you super efficient? Are you the most technically advanced? Are you the one who is speaking at conferences across the world because you are on the most cutting edge forefront of what you're doing? It really depends on what I'm looking for as a patient or client that's going to push me into whatever practitioner I choose. So we hope that every surgeon, if you're going to get wrist surgery done, we hope that every surgeon knows how to do wrist surgery. That's not remarkable, and that's not going to help me choose my surgeon. What I need to know is, what are you like? What is your follow-up care like? What is your procedure like? So these kind of things are what's going to help me build trust when I'm going under the knife. And I've been shocked to find, because I love the new guest experience and communication and consultation. It's one of the things I teach to, is that world-class consultation. What I think is really interesting is how many people, as a first-time guest in a salon space, whether they're new to the area or they're new to your salon, have a really high amount of anxiety being in a new space and being in a new chair. I'm not wired that way to be that nervous in a new experience or a new setting, but people can be very nervous. So I think anything that we can do to put them at ease. I've had people find some of my team members like, I love that she fosters dogs. I love that she's into Comic-Con. Like, okay, I know that I'm sitting there for 3 hours held hostage getting my hair done, and this is something that's going to help me feel safe while I'm with them. I've just noticed that this kind of flow is what I've seen people feel like they can connect with in these different points, and how important it is to bring that out is just a little tweak you can make. Something else that I'd love to know is, how do you see people building community online and showing up in that way that's helping the first time guest or potential guest decide that they want to do business and engage there as part of a community?
Well, I think that MYA brings together salon owners as a community and builds their pros together. So we really try to bring owners together to mastermind, to events when we're at events, to be together, to really create that space of like, and I'll just bring this up because some of our best new technology releases have been based on the feedback and the needs of our users. For example, we have a San Diego salon. They're named Gila Root, and they are an Aveda salon, 2 locations in San Diego, who really have a lot of Spanish speaking population and team members. So they were the first pioneer helping MYA release a Spanish version, not only to empower their team, their guests, but now this is available to all out of nowhere. We had a salon sign up from Spain because they saw that we were available in Spanish. So
Magnifico.
Isn't it? So it's fantastico.
Me gusta mucho.
Yay! Okay. This is great. So yeah, these types of things wouldn't happen if our company didn't stay bespoke in a way that we were well connected and had a lot of favor and relationship with our salon owners. I'll tell you, I think it's because I am one, that I want to hear from people who are doing really cool things. I'm not going to be the one with the best ongoing ideas forever, but when you elevate yourself by surrounding yourself with great people, the rising tides raise all ships, right? So I want to hear from our own community. But you bring up a really intriguing idea of like, how do we do that for the stylists? I have such a teaser. My team doesn't know. Only 2 people on my team know this. I'm going to bring this up to you because I want you to give me the thumbs up or like the, I don't know.
This is just between the 2 of us and everybody
listening.
Don't break your secret safe with me. Also, for me to wait to launch this podcast until this.
I know. It's not even
till August. Tell me everything.
Well, I'm thinking for spring 2026 that MYA officially hosts its own industry event. And we are going to do something nobody's done that I'm aware of. And it's going to be our thing. And it's going to be a Caribbean cruise. And we're going to trap your ass on a big ass ship. And we're going to have all sorts of little things going. I already have it all spelled out. And I got a hold of, if you know Hannah on our team, if you work with us, you're going to be like, oh. And she's like, I'm obsessed and I love cruises. So I haven't gone on a cruise in a long time, but I went on a Fit Fun cruise once. Actually gained 7 pounds on that cruise. Let's not talk about it. And so then I went on a Love Like You Mean It marriage cruise once. I've been on cruises, but you know what? I like a theme. I actually like a curriculum. I like to show up and it's a thing. And then you have your little offboarding time to go to the beach and do whatever and shop and whatnot. Plus, there's spa treatments on a ship. There's the different variances of food. There's everything for anybody. So I'm kind of thinking that that is going to be a thing that we do. So you're the first to hear my teaser. And that would be a way to bring the masses together from both sides, stylists and estheticians and nail techs and massage therapists, everybody from every corner of the industry. I think that would be really neat.
I think that sounds like an excellent community building idea. And as a big fan of efficiency, efficient AF is right. I
P.S. You're planning our trip. Surprise! You are planning this entire thing. I'm kidding.
I believe my assistant Spark can do it for you. We can do the work. I do like that. And I think what you talked about, what you're doing for Maya is actually a great indicator. If we just take and copy and paste of what you're talking about, what you're doing there, and then what you want to do for your own clients as a Maya software business and brand, you want to bring them together and help everybody build community there, which is huge. You're listening to feedback of your community. If I'm a stylist listening to this, whether or not I own a salon, I can take these ideas and then translate over to the fact that you're taking feedback consistently from your clients. And a stylist can do the same thing, looking at what people are needing. The trends change. We can know the best practices for today, and they're not going to be the best practices for next week. So keeping our ear to the ground, asking for consistent feedback, checking the pulse and temperature of what's happening in the space, little things like that are going to go a really long way to help nurture people in a digital way, a digital space, to feel like they're being heard, whether it's through your newsletter that you're putting out, your own social media, or the way that you're texting and engaging clients, whether or not it's actually automated. Something that will make people feel like they're seen and heard is going to help them feel like they can trust you continuously with their journey in hair. And I think, especially with consumer habits changing so much, they're changing. And it's like micro trends now. We're not looking at like, oh, we're in an up cycle and a down cycle. We're looking at things that are moving so quickly based on the way information is being disseminated now at a rapid pace. So it's like tennis, back and forth, but learning how to adapt, to listen and adapt. And just to know that being something we talk about a lot in my salon, and with my salon director, who is so lovely, Monica. She's a consummate example of just holding things loosely. She knows that once we get something dialed in perfectly in one area, it's going to shift. And so we don't think like, well, this is how it works. This is how it's working now. And we're going to always be open to letting that information flow. And the only way to let it flow is if you're open to it, is hearing from people. And I think that's a really great point that you bring up in building community is keeping your ear to consistent feedback and making your Maya clients feel valued. That's wonderful.
I want to give everybody one tip, if I may, because when it comes to your own community that you live in, one way to utilize Maya, by the way, imagine you have a special event at your salon, a little product party, a little whatever styling party, you do something. Curls night out is something we've done because we serve the curl community in our area. And utilizing this matchmaker at your event, you say, hey, if you're new to our salon, you've never been here, take our matchmaker and you'll be entered to win XYZ. And it's a way to generate leads and that ability for you to get new additional clients into your chair. So I just wanted to bring that up. We use it at trade shows. Our salon is also known for bridal. And so if we show up to a trade show or a women's event where we're talking about bridal services, we could do the same thing. Maya is built for bridal specifically. So if people go through that funnel and they're matched with who their perfect bridal stylist is, you can utilize that at hair shows to generate leads as well. So there's a lot of creative ways to use your matchmaker. I think that leads, we didn't even talk about that today. That could be a whole different thing for a future conversation, but it is the only tool out there to generate leads where you're actually capturing consumer name, email, phone number, and beyond that, you're getting all of their personal preferences on what challenges they have with their hair, skin, nails, body, etc. So the insights are unmatched in this matchmaking technology. And by the way, I have ADD. And the minute you were like, oh, the cruise, I was like, oh my gosh, Heather, we're going to have a talent show, because if you're coming on this cruise, that is going to be another thing we're going to have to do, because you have like 500 talents, and one of those, you got to enter the talent show, and that will be so epic.
I'm a little nervous about what talents we're referring to, because I'm quite uncertain of what you know about me or not know about me. I'm like, these talents we can talk about in front of the kids. I do yodel. I haven't juggled fire yet, but I'm going to learn. I don't know. By the way, yodeling isn't a talent. It's just something funny I think is great to do. So, my kids don't think it's funny or love it. Anyway, I'm curious, what are I would say your non-negotiables or your habits that reinforce your human, your groundedness, your connection, your health. What are the things that you show up for yourself with daily to keep yourself grounded so you're able to show up for people in a human way? Because I think that's huge. And especially as a multipreneur, it's going to be helpful to know some of your pointers if you have.
Well, if anybody's listening to be on the Technique podcast, they know I'll bring this up on a regular basis. Or if you follow me on Instagram, because you're going to just see this play out in life. But number one, I always start my day with a quiet time. I have a lot of little kind of potions and powders that I do every day, and pills, basically. I know I do protein powder. I literally make my own wellness drink. It's organic lemon juice, lime juice, apple cider vinegar, elderberry powder, turmeric powder, ginger powder, black pepper. I have it mixed up. I do little shots of that. That's like a wellness thing. I make that. I do my organic mold-free, toxin-free coffee that I grind my own beans. And I got my MCT oil in it. I do my morning supplements. I sit down. I write out what I'm thankful for. I write what I want. I read through my Bible. I write down my takeaways. I go through devotionals. There's a little bit of reading time depending on when the kids get up. And then I get off to the gym every single day, 5 days a week. I lift. I walk every single day. I used to be very obese and very sedentary and oftentimes hid behind a screen and just stayed on the mic. So you could only see me from the neck up. And when I hit this I've had a few rock bottom moments in my life. But once I was done having kids and I had turned 40, I had this rock bottom moment of being significantly obese. And I knew that if I didn't change, that I was going to end up like my parents with either cancers or other diseases. My dad passed away from Parkinson's, and all of this can be traced back to depending on if people get into this or not, but like type 3 diabetes of the brain is a huge thing that people are studying right now, and why they get these cognitive disorders and diseases. So like I just kind of had this, whoa, hopefully I live another half of my life, but who am I going to show up as? What am I going to do? So working out and specifically strength training is a non-negotiable for my life. I also teach chakra flow 1 day a week. I also help sing in my church's worship team once a month. I do these things not just for my own joy to be a part of these like little extracurricular things in life, but I also do it so that I'm constantly practicing communicating. I believe that God gave me the gift of communication, and that I just want to keep practicing that gift. So when I do have these opportunities, remember, preparation meets opportunity. When I have an opportunity to get up and speak to our industry or anywhere to help people in this industry, that I'm just ready. Like, let's go. And really trying to focus on, and plus it's that time to think. I think owners don't give themselves enough downtime to just think and ask themselves better, more strategic questions to help them make changes. And like you said, even have a frame of mind where you're willing to do different. Just because what you did yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today or tomorrow. So having that time for yourself, I think, is imperative.
Thank you for sharing that. As you're talking about your potions and powders and whatever. So me and Katie have texted each other a few times when I found out she's one of these. I'm not going to share. I'm in a hotel. I'm traveling right now. Katie and I both travel a lot for work through our different businesses and speaking opportunities and education. And so I'm recording live from Laguna Beach as we speak, which what a terrible.
I wish I was there with you. That was so great.
It is. Come visit. So I'm just thinking, Katie will text each other sometimes pictures of like, oh, we got stopped at TSA because of, it looks like we're smuggling cocaine, but this is just my amino and creatine and whatever weird concoction I put in. So I do the same thing. And then you mentioned, finding a way, and I know this because I know Katie, but she'll travels a ton. So when you hear this, it's not like, well, easy for you. You probably have 3 nannies and a personal gym. It's like, no, she's on the road half the time, or at least the last few months you have been. And that girl is going to find somewhere to lift, find somewhere to walk, find somewhere to reset. And I think hearing that is overwhelming, especially if you're a person who's got children. Even as you're talking, I was like, in my mind, I know you have babies. But if someone's listening, like, well, that's easy for you to have quiet time in the morning. You clearly don't have screaming banshee pterodactyls tearing through your house. So you're making time for this. And it's an important way to receive a download, an update, or better information to be inspired when we can pause with that. And I love that you shared that routine with your health, your fitness, your mental health. with your communion, worship, meditation, all of the things that you're doing. And it is a lot. But man, you took control of the last half of your life. That's for dang sure. And I think that's a way of you talking about this makes a very human connection point. It does keep you human. Not only does your process of being grounded make you more human, but sharing your road to rock bottom multiple times to get you here is really inspiring. I think it's a huge thing to hear, because a lot of people might assume, like, look at her, she's fine. Yeah, easy for you because whatever. And that's just an excuse. You really made a lot of conscious choices to turn that around, which I think is really empowering. So thank you. I'm sure your kids will thank you too, her adorable children, that you're going to be able to have a really high quality of connection with them as a result of these thoughtful measures you've taken. Before we wrap, this is, frankly, I don't know if hairdressers care about this question or the people who listen to my podcast, but I do. And I get to ask the questions. I love to know what people who are smart and interesting like to read. So I would love to know if there's a book you've read recently or a favorite book that you think I'd like to read, and maybe a few other people on this podcast would benefit from hearing as our closing question.
There's a couple. Every business owner should read the book Good to Great. Okay. And identifying two things. What is your business going to be the very best at in the world? Period.
Okay.
The book doesn't take you to this place, but I personally was like, what am I going to be the very best at in the world personally? Okay. And so I love that. Another book is called The Gap in the Gain. I realized that as somebody who works towards the next thing, great, that was good, but now what's the next thing? I wasn't really sitting down and appreciating all that has positively happened leading up to where I am today, because I'm constantly chasing the next thing. And that means I'm in the gap the majority of the time. And that's a negative place to be. I know, because if you're chasing the horizon, Heather, the horizon, you never reach it. It always moves.
I just want to skip this question out because I feel like I'm being very called out. And I don't know if anybody has it's like a magnifying glasses now. Like, you have spoken to and born into my soul. You just drilled a hole. Okay, fine, keep talking.
Well, yeah, because the horizon always moves. And one of the biggest fallacies of our lives that have been ingrained in us is the pursuit of happiness. So when our forefathers said, you get to pursue happiness, it makes the assumption that you're not already happy. And then it's this elusive thing you hope to get someday, but you can be happy right today, right now. And I have to keep reminding myself of the good, because I all geared towards this, especially if we're on social media a lot, is to look at the gap. Oh, I'm here, but I'm not that great. I'm okay, but I could be better. This could be better. And you're never content. And I think it's cool to never settle. I think there's too much settling going on in too many areas of our lives. However, in the midst of working towards what you want, finding that contentment and that joy and happiness now.
Tell me the name once again. I haven't heard of it. And it sounds like I should probably download it and listen to it while I walk 10 miles a day with the weighted vest, doing all the things, because nothing is quite good enough. We're going to keep going. Tell me the name of this book, Katie, again. The Gap, the Gain.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I ask these kind of questions because I want to know the answers, and maybe for selfish reasons, you just delivered exactly what I wanted to hear today without even knowing it. So thank you for being willing to go there to share this time with me. I think we'll definitely have to have a follow-up, because you just gave us 3 other topics that we could talk about. Either that, and really this is kind of my tricky way of getting to sit down with my friends in the industry, these powerful, magnetic, brilliant people that I've had the chance to meet over the last few years and what I've been doing, and to just trap them into sitting and having this great conversation with me. Awesome. Hopefully I'll be in your region of the country sooner. We'll be able to overlap and we can record the next one live. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun.
Thank you so much.
We'll make it so. Thank you for having me, Heather.
Thank you so much. And I hope everybody's enjoyed all the beautiful things that our wonderful guest, Kati Whitledge, has shared with us today. Share with us now as we wrap where we can find you. Everything will be included in the show notes. So, and also she has a new book out. It's called First Date to Forever, which is her recent book that launched. So if you want a signed copy, tell us where they can get that, and also where to find you.
All right, everybody. Well, from first date to forever, how to market like a matchmaker. So I included everything for salon owners and your marketing team to be equipped with all the campaigns we've ever done that have been successful. There's visuals. It's everything you need about marketing, nothing that you don't need. And you can get that at joinmya.com, joinmya.com. And our Instagram is join_Maya. join_MYA. So hopefully we'll be connected there.
Awesome. And if you hang out at the cool industry events, you'll also see her on stage, more than likely, whether or not it's presenting or accepting an award. So thank you so much. This is Kati Whitledge.
Thank you.